She's a Mona Lisa. Everyone's lining up to see her. She's a Mona Lisa.
Hello and welcome. Today I wanted to share my take on how to create easy, doable photo shoots that you could do at home by yourself. I've been seeing a lot of videos like these on YouTube and TikTok, but after watching at least 20 of those videos, I haven't found one that was very in-depth, and some of the things they used I just didn't have at home. The most common ones I've been seeing are people having photo shoots in their backyard or their balcony, the ones with the newspaper background. I've also been seeing projector photo shoots where people flash a photo on the wall and take pictures in front of it. There's also the ones with lots of plants. My dilemma with these are that I don't have a balcony or a backyard. I don't have a bunch of old newspapers lying around. Everything's been online for a couple of decades now, so we've never really had a reason to buy newspapers. I don't know, that's probably just us, but yeah, we don't have a bunch of old newspapers lying around, unfortunately. We also do not have a home projector. I don't think home projectors are that common or even cheap. There are the mini ones though that you could buy online, and those are pretty affordable, but unfortunately we don't have that either. We also don't have a lot of plants at home. I think we only have two and they're both fake, so those alone can't create the jungle or foresty vibes that those photo shoots aim to. Don't get me wrong, I think those photo shoots are perfectly charming and creative if you have the means to do them, but I think a lot of people can relate to me on this, especially if you live in the Philippines. I just don't have any of those things lying around. Also, not gonna lie, I think some of those ideas are quite repetitive. If you search at-home photo shoots on YouTube, you'll most likely see those ideas that I mentioned plastered on like the first 20 thumbnails. I don't believe that you need to own conveniently pretty things or own expensive equipment or live in a pristine and spotless place for you to take good photos. I do believe that you need to take your creativity and challenge yourself to be resourceful. So my idea for at-home photo shoots mainly revolve around three elements: your backdrop, your look, and your editing. Let me explain. The first element is your backdrop. If you can't find a place in your house that's Instagrammable or picture-worthy, you can pretty much create a space that is. Rummage around your house and look for something big enough to be the background in your photo. You can always rely on large pieces of fabric like a bedsheet, a tablecloth, a blanket, or even your curtain, and find a way to hang it up for the duration of your photo shoot. You can also use a cartolina, an illustration board, or just any type of material you think you can make use of. These are some photos I took 2 years ago during my summer vacation at home, and I just taped different colors of cartolina on the wall. If you can't find a blank wall in your house, you can also just move around the furniture for the meantime and put them back to their original place once you're done taking photos. That's what I tend to do a lot of the time. The second element is your look. Your look involves your clothes, makeup, hair, and your props. Every single part of your look adds to the overall detail of your photo. If you want to find inspiration, you can always scroll through Instagram and Pinterest. There's lots of creative people on there that showcase their fashion sense and makeup styles that you can try to replicate and add your own twist to. The third element is usually my favorite part of doing my own photo shoots, and it's the editing. Play around with different apps, filters, stickers, borders, effects, or just literally any button you can press on an editing app. Instagram-wise, I think most people stop at adding filters, but there's so much more you can do to your photos, so let your imagination run wild. Your lighting is an additional element to keep in mind. I don't have a ring light or studio lights or even a lamp. I solely rely on the natural daylight from the window in my room. So if you're like me, it's probably best to schedule your photo shoots during daytime. Just a disclaimer, I am not a professional photographer, and I'm not discouraging you to use any equipment that you may already have and use to take your photos. I'm simply suggesting alternatives that most people might already own to create sort of like a makeshift studio in the comfort of their own homes. Also, what I said earlier about the trendy photoshoot ideas that I thought were quite repetitive, I meant that most of the videos I've seen were presenting the same ideas and not that each photoshoot idea was relatively similar to each other. Also, all the tips and lessons I'm sharing are all based from my own experiences and understanding. The methods I used in this video all relate back to the three elements I mentioned, but if you switch up any of those elements, it'll give you completely different vibes. I'll walk you through each of the ideas I have. For this shoot, I want to replicate the look from disposable film cameras. Disposable film photos usually have that overexposed vignette sort of look, so the most important aspect of this is to use flash. For the background, look for a blank wall you can shoot photos in front of. If you don't have a blank wall, you can take a plain fabric and hang it up somewhere. Here, I'm using a white blanket and pressing it in between the doors of our cabinet. For my outfit, I decided to wear a bralette and jogger pants. I want this photo to scream chill, so I'm trying to recreate what the Instagrammable version of a relaxed day at home feels like. I didn't do much for my makeup, just a little tint, and I'm also not wearing any accessories. You can opt to not use props here and go ham with your poses. You can practice in front of a mirror and find out which side of your face looks best in photos and which poses or facial expressions you believe suits you the most. For me, I like to pretend to laugh or smile really wide. It feels super cringy and very unnatural when I do it, but it usually turns out looking quite candid and cute. I don't know, that's just my opinion. Or I do the exact opposite and try to pull off a poker face. If you choose to use props, you can use literally anything like your favorite sneaker. Plop it over your head or hold it like a telephone. You can eat a snack, read a book, or pretend to text on your phone, anything. Like I mentioned earlier, the most important aspect of this shoot is to use flash. If you're using a camera, make sure to use the flash setting. If you're using your phone, turn on your flash and use the back camera. I think the back camera is the most effective way to do this. The reason you'll want to use flash is to create that exposed look on the subject while still maintaining the shadows in the background. In my opinion, that's what manifests the look from disposable film cameras. If you're taking pictures of yourself, use a phone stand if you have one. If you don't, have your phone lean against something and check if it's angled good enough to take a portrait shot. Another option is to convince someone you're living with to take photos of you. Sometimes the wonky angles just add to the raw vibes of the photo. By the way, you don't necessarily have to be in front of a blank wall. Go around your house and take pictures at the most random places like your staircase or even your bathroom or your garage. Even if you think it doesn't look neat, I think having that film camera effect makes any place look more candid and authentic. Here, I chose to take pictures in front of a refrigerator because I think it looks interesting. I also took photos on our sofa after that. For the editing, we want that overexposed look that disposable film photos have, so increase both the exposure and contrast. If you feel like your facial features are slowly disappearing because of the brightness, that's exactly how you want it to look like. Increase the contrast as well. Play around with the highlights and shadows, but keep in mind that you still want the shadows to be prominent. If you noticed, film photos have a green tone to them, so I'm just adjusting the temperature to be cooler and the tint to be green. They're also a little blurry, so I'm just adjusting the texture and clarity. Add a vignette and adjust that however you like. Then the last step is to add grain. This is optional, but I like to play around with a filter in the end just to see if it makes the photo look better.
Now when I drive around, don't feel it all. Why it's getting colder when the sun come out. Might just waste away, don't know what life about. Another day go by, don't know what got me down.
My vision for this is to make it look like it came out of a photo booth. I'm using a pink sheet for the background and I'm wearing a black turtleneck for my top. For my makeup, I just did my brows and added a little blush and lipstick. I want to put in as much poses as I can because I'm planning to make a collage out of this. If you run out of poses, don't be afraid to search on Instagram or Pinterest. Those sites are always super helpful when you want to find inspiration for photos. To add a little spice, you can easily turn it up into sort of like an editorial vibe by adding props. So I stuffed this pink bouquet into my turtleneck. Again, you can use any type and color of fabric or even a cartolina for your background. You can also sit in front of a blank wall in your house. This is a fairly simple photo shoot idea, so there's really not much to explain. All you need to do is set up a plain background and you decide what you want your look to be. The main gist is to get in as much poses as you can so that your pictures won't look repetitive when you turn it into a collage. For the editing, I shot this both with and without flash. The ones with flash, I edited very similarly to how I edited the film disposable ones, but I geared towards a pink tint instead of a green one. The photos without flash, I just did very basic adjustments too, like the exposure, contrast, saturation, etc. This last one is more of a trick than it is a theme for a photo shoot. I really like those photos on Instagram of women posing in front of a mirror. If you don't have a full body mirror to take selfies in front of, I found a way to pretend like you do. This time I'm using a taupe bedsheet and I'm wearing pants with a similar shade because I want the colors in my photo to be cohesive. The camera stopped recording for a while so I didn't get to film it, but I decided to put on orange eyeshadow and a little bit of makeup, then wore some gold accessories. Then I added a plant in the back. For this mirror effect, you can use a camera or your phone and take a picture of yourself pretending to take a mirror selfie. If you have a camera, you can use your own phone as your prop. If you're using your phone, turn on the self camera setting and borrow someone else's to use for your picture. Here I'm just using my sister's. If you can't get a hold of another phone, you can also just use a phone case, but I'm pretty sure people can see through it, so maybe edit it a little afterwards if you know how to. Make sure that you're holding the phone adjacent to your face and angle it towards the camera. Really just pretend as if you're taking a mirror selfie. Because if the angle of your face and phone isn't in line with the camera's perspective, it might end up looking really off and awkward. Out of all of the photo shoots, I felt like this is the hardest because I was sitting and kneeling and posing on the floor, so the palm of my hands and knees started feeling really tired and painful afterwards. Here, we're creating an illusion that we're using a mirror even though we're not, so the extra effort it takes to pose and make it look authentic really takes a toll on your patience and energy. Because this theme has very earthy tones, I wanted to edit this with sort of a golden look, so that's what I did. Be sure to crop out the edges that might expose the fact that you didn't take this in front of a mirror. I'm gonna be completely honest and admit that I didn't like how my armpit looked in this photo, so I tried to think of a way to cover it up, and thus the butterfly stickers were chosen. I didn't plan for the photo to turn out this way, but by a happy accident, I think it turned out perfect for the photo, and I think it blends well with the theme. Most of these photos I shot in the corner of my bedroom that's in front of a window, but as you can see, because of the different backdrops I used, which were a couple of bed sheets and tablecloths, the different outfits I put on, and the different styles in editing, each photo shoot has completely different themes, or as I like to call, vibes. I've been doing a lot of at-home photo shoots by myself over the last years, and this concept is what I've learned thus far. I like to believe that this is sort of like the amateur way of getting into self-photography. You just have to remember the elements I pointed out, change up any of those, and you've got yourself a theme for an at-home photo shoot.
She's a Mona Lisa.
So overall, all you need is a couple of fabrics or materials large enough to be the background in your photo, change into cute clothes, do your hair and makeup, sit right next to a window, have fun, and experiment with the whole process. I actually had one more photo shoot idea that I wanted to include, but I ended up not filming it. This video is probably more or less around 10 minutes to watch on your end, but on my end, this took me a couple of days to film and edit, and eventually I just got so tired of setting up the camera, so I ended up not filming it. But anyway, I hope you found those ideas helpful, and I hope you enjoyed watching this video. If anyone in the goddamn universe even ever watches this video and plans on recreating any of the ideas I have, please send me a photo or tag me. I'd love to see them. That's it, I guess. Okay, bye!
Double life puts on a show. What's under this shadow smile? We'll never know. She's a Mona Lisa. Everyone's lining up to see her. There must be something about her features